there. This is the train station here in Varna, Bulgaria. Been here for a couple of days. It is kind of a resort town on the Black Sea. I'm going to walk over to the Black Sea right now in the course of this video. The Black Sea is an inland sea that is connected to the Aegean Sea between Greece and Turkey by the Bosphorus at Istanbul. But otherwise, it's a big sea, but it is like enclosed, surrounded by various countries in this area. Romania, I think maybe Moldova, maybe Ukraine, Georgia, and Turkey. It's just starting to sprinkle a little bit here, so hoping that rain stays away. We'll see. So I'm going to walk down this way. I walked here yesterday, and you get to the beach on the Black Sea. And so I'm going to be talking in this video about a few things that make traveling a lot easier than it otherwise would be. Give a little insight here on how it is that I'm able to travel like I do. If you've been following my adventures for the past whatever weeks, months, then you see me popping up here and there. Suddenly I'm in a different country. Like, how does that work? Crossing borders, dealing with currency, and all of the various complications and issues that come up with traveling. Now, obviously, I'm not going to explain everything involved in the whole traveling experience in the course of this video, but there are 4 separate things that I thought that I would discuss that make it a lot easier for me to be able to actually travel around the world as I do. The first is English. The fact that English is essentially the international language. So basically, almost anywhere around the world, if someone is going to learn a language that is going to be the most beneficial language for them in terms of their career or being a tourist in another country, then oftentimes it is going to be English. Most of the time, then English is the best language to learn if you're going to learn a second language, because it is so useful in so many places around the world. There are various reasons why English has become the international language, and I don't know, the whole history or whatever. It's complicating. And so, for example, I'm here in Bulgaria, and let's say that a local Bulgarian wants to go on vacation somewhere outside of Bulgaria. Well, real quick, I'll pop over and show some ruins here. I think they're Roman ruins. That says Roman Thermae 0.2 kilometers. So I'm not exactly sure if these are Roman ruins or something else. But I might not do like a proper tour of Varna. I'll see. So I might be taking the train from the train station there to Bucharest. Not tomorrow. I'm staying 1 more night or 2 more nights through tomorrow, and then maybe the next day that I will go to Bucharest, but still figuring out my plans. So anyways, let's say that a local Bulgarian person, couple or family or whatever, wants to go on vacation, and they decide they want to go to the Greek islands. Makes sense. They're close by, but something totally different from Bulgaria. And so they go to Greece, go to the Greek islands. And so what are the chances that a Bulgarian is going to speak Greek? I don't know, but I don't think most Bulgarians are going to be learning to speak Greek. It's not that practical for them. Yes, it's practical if they go to a Greek island, but that's it. Anywhere else they go in the world, then it's not going to be of any use to them, even though it is a country that is right next door. But if they speak English and go to the Greek islands, the people there, especially in a touristy place, will probably speak English as well as a second language in addition to Greek. And so a Bulgarian and a Greek talking on the Greek islands will speak in English. Greeks aren't going to learn Bulgarian. Bulgarians aren't going to learn Greek, other than, some people obviously, but not most. And so English is just the most practical language to learn, and therefore that makes it a lot easier for a traveler such as myself who speaks English, that almost anywhere you go in the world, then you can communicate with at least some of the people. It always just depends on the country and where you are in that country. In the major cities, then people are going to be more likely to speak English. They will be more educated and more likely to talk with tourists. Here in Bulgaria, then it seems like English is spoken by everybody, and so it is just learned in the schools, starting in elementary school, I'm sure, they start to speak English, and that way they can go outside of Bulgaria and be able to talk with other people. And so that fact that English is so widely spoken throughout the world makes the traveling experience just a hell of a lot easier. And so here's a swimming pool, and check it out, other side, there's the Black Sea. And so the second thing that makes traveling a lot easier is having an American passport. Not necessarily just American, but there is a range in the power of different passports from different countries. And so here's a pretty nice beach. And so what I'm talking about then is visas. Whether or not you need a visa to enter a country, or you can just show up with your passport and show them your passport and then they let you in. Because that depends a lot on what passport you have, which country you are from, because certain passports allow you to enter more countries without having to get a visa. For example, I've only had to get a visa for one country that I've been to in all of my travels. I've been to 51 countries now, and I've only needed to get a visa for one of them. That is India, the one that I've been to the most. And even with India, then as an American, then we get a special offer, which is that you can get a 10-year visa that is a multiple entry visa. You can't stay for 10 years straight. You can stay for 6 months at a time and then leave and then come right back in. Whereas most countries, you have to apply for the visa, and then it's good for 6 months, and it's only that one time, and then you have to reapply when you go back the next time. Whereas I've been able to go to India multiple times on the same visa over the course of several years. But all of the other 50 countries that I've been to in my travels, I haven't needed to get a visa at all. I just show up at the border, give them my passport, and they look through it and stamp it, let me in, and then it depends on how long you can stay. Sometimes it's only 10 days, sometimes it's 90 days. There is what is called a visa on arrival. For example, Nepal, Cambodia, Egypt, various countries, then they call it a visa on arrival, and you then have to like fill out paperwork, you have to pay a fee, and then they give it to you right there at the airport or at the border, as opposed to having to apply for the visa ahead of time from your country, send them your passport, and then they put the visa inside the passport. It takes a week or two or whatever. You have to pay for it and fill out all this paperwork, etc. It's really a pain in the butt. And so if you're traveling on a American passport or a Swiss passport, any EU passport, Australian passport, Singapore passport, there are different passports that have greater power in terms of the number of countries that you can get in without a visa. The US passport is not at the top, actually. There are other passports that are more powerful, but there are a lot of passports that are not as beneficial as the US passport. For example, the Indian passport. The Indian passport does not allow you to just show up and be entered in to as many countries as the US passport. You can't just show up in Europe, fly into Amsterdam or whatever, and be let in. You have to get a visa in advance. And so you have to apply and mail your passport to the embassy, wait to hear back, etc. And then if you were planning to go to multiple countries, then you would have to do this a bunch of different times, plan it all out in advance, and you know, wait weeks or even months to get all of these visas to come back and have them all sort of organized chronologically as far as which countries you're going to go to, etc. And so that makes a big difference in terms of being able to travel like I travel. And so I, you know, decide where I'm going next, oftentimes just a couple of days beforehand. I just decide, okay, check flights. There's a flight to wherever, Greece, in 3 days. All right, book it. And then I'm on the plane. I get there, I show up, I show my passport, they let me in. And so that is, you know, just the reality of the politics of the world, is that some people are able to travel a lot easier than others based on the country that they are from. The third thing that makes traveling a lot easier than it otherwise would be is the internet. Now, if you saw my video when I was on Mykonos, Greece, talking about how I afford to travel so much, then you will have seen in terms of, you know, how I'm paying for all this from my YouTube videos. I make money from these videos, both from you subscribers watching and then other people who aren't subscribed to my channel who come across my videos, and then I make, you know, a fraction of a penny per view, but it all adds up. And so I'm paying for my travels just from these videos. And so that is one way that the internet is making my travels possible. The ability to make a living online, whether it is YouTube or a blog or Instagram and promoting companies, whatever. There are tons of ways to make a living online, be anywhere in the world and make your living from the internet. But that is not the only way. It is also in terms of the ease of making your plans as you travel, booking your accommodation, getting information about where you're going to go next, buses, trains, booking your flights. All this kind of stuff is made a lot easier with the technology of the internet, and so much that is at your fingertips from your laptop or your phone. And so as I've mentioned in previous videos, I've been traveling for 3 decades now, since the summer of 1990, when I went to Europe when I was 18. And things were a lot different back then without the internet. I had a guidebook for Europe, and so you would look through the guidebook and you know, find the particular place. Let's say it's Santorini, Greece, and you'd look through the section on hotels and hostels, find one that sounded right, and then go there, just hope that they would have a room or a bed available. And if not, then you're like, okay, great, now we got to get across town and go to some other place and hope they have it. And you don't have as good of a idea about the place. It's just, you know, a tiny little paragraph about the hotel or hostel. You don't get pictures, reviews, etc. Now it is just so much easier being able to just kick back in your hotel room, get on your laptop, get on booking.com or Hostel World or whatever, look through dozens of different accommodation options, and you know, you can narrow it down a lot better as far as finding the kind of place you're looking for. And then flights, you can just book them a few days in advance. Websites like Skyscanner allow you to search for a whole month and see the cheapest prices for that whole month to various destinations, and then you can find these just dirt cheap flights. My flights for this trip have been so cheap. So I flew from San Francisco to Singapore 5 months ago, starting this trip out, and that was just $350 to fly across the Pacific. Amazing deal. Wow, this thing does not smell good. I think I'll keep on walking here. And then all of my flights since then have been like around $100, maybe 150 maximum. From there I flew to Thailand, that was like $80. From Thailand I flew to India, that was like 110 bucks. All of my flights have been like $100 each, or less even, with some of them in the course of this trip, thanks to the internet. And so it looks like this is the end of the beach here. And so it is mid-March, and so it is low season here. In the summer, then I'm sure that that beach would be packed. And also I'm sure that the beaches and the buildings here would be looking a bit nicer. I don't know what's going on here. If I mean, this looks like it got destroyed almost, but maybe it's just like under construction. So perhaps, by summertime that will be cleaned up, but certainly, that place is boarded up right now. This place isn't open. This would be a whole different scene in the middle of high season. And so the fourth thing that makes traveling a lot easier than it otherwise would be is the power of the US dollar, or of other major currencies. The euro, the British pound, the Icelandic kroner or Swedish kroner, the Australian dollar, the Japanese yen. If you are from one of the countries that has the stronger currencies, then you have more bang for your buck, as they say. I can, take $1,000 US, which won't go very far in the United States, and go to India or Thailand, and it will last a lot longer in terms of what you can buy with that money than it would in the United States. And so certain people just have an advantage in terms of the power of their currency when it comes to traveling. Some of the local dishes available here: shrimps, octopus, kebab. Not sure these are all actually local. Like, I think that is Italian rice dish. I forget what it's called. Risotto. Because this is a touristy spot, and the restaurants here serve a variety of different foods, it's actually kind of hard to find traditional Bulgarian restaurants. And so speaking of the power of currency, then here in Bulgaria, it is quite cheap compared to the United States or other parts of Europe. Meals here are, you know, half or less of what you would pay in other places in the world. And so that is the power of the currency, making your traveling experience nicer when you can stretch your money farther. And so unfortunately, it is not fair in this regard. If you are from India or Thailand or Pakistan or Bangladesh, and maybe you're seeing my videos and like, how can I do that? I really want to travel around the world as well. Then the sad truth is that it is not going to be as easy when the currency exchange rates are flipped the other way. When you have the Indian rupee, the Nepali rupee, the Thai baht, and you try to travel overseas, and then you're going to find that the prices of everything is, you know, 5 times, 10 times as expensive. And so that makes it a lot harder to be able to travel the world. Unfortunately, somebody messaged me about this just yesterday, and they were like, I'm in India and I want to, you know, go to the United States, but the flight is so expensive. And then once I get there, like, do you have any tips for how I can be able to travel like you? I don't. On that one, you know, other than you got to make more money. That's what it comes down to. And so it's unfortunate, but it is just the way that it is, that if you come from one of the countries that is a, you know, richer country, then your money goes farther. You know, a lot of my travels before I started YouTube was I was working in Jasper National Park in Canada, in the Canadian Rockies, for like 5 years, 5 different seasons. And I would work there for like 4 to 8 months. And it's not like I was making great wages. It was, you know, kind of average, but I was able to save by keeping my expenses down, etc. And so I was putting in the bank about $1,000 per month after paying for all my other expenses. And so in the course of 6 months of working there, I would then have $6,000 saved up. And that really isn't a whole lot of money in the US, but once you travel to Southeast Asia, India, etc., then that money can go a long ways. You can work for 6 months and then travel for 6 months. And so you don't have to be rich if your currency is strong to be able to travel. Unfortunately, the other way around, you have to be a rich Indian to be able to travel to Europe or America. And so that is just one reason that I've been able to travel as much as I have, because of the power of the US dollar and the fact that it makes things less expensive, relatively speaking, when you get to other parts of the world, and so you can stretch your dollars longer. And so hopefully that helps to explain a bit how I'm able to actually do all this traveling, jump from one country to the next, and just kind of keep on going, because of those 4 major factors that make traveling around the world a lot easier than it otherwise would be. And it's starting to rain again. Might be a little more serious now, which is one reason I always have my rain jacket in my backpack with me. So I'm going to throw that on here and walk back, and I will be here again tomorrow. We'll see what the weather looks like, etc. I'd like to see more of Varna, maybe get out of the town. It'll depend. So, all right, take it easy. And so I have no idea what any of this is. The menu is in Bulgarian, not in English at all. And so I just pointed at some pictures in the menu that looked good, and it does look really good. But I don't know if this is like cheese or fish or what. I don't know if this is fish or chicken, but I think one or the other. I'll let you know how it is in just a second. And so this is a chicken with broccoli, and this is cheese bites with like a raspberry sauce, I think, or maybe cranberry. The sauce is quite sweet. I would kind of prefer a less sweet sauce, but it's still good. And so I don't think this is like traditional Bulgarian food, but it's good, and that's the case with these restaurants along the water here is, you know, international cuisine. So anyway, good stuff, and I'm sure it's a good price. I actually don't know how much it's going to be yet.